Well, hello, and welcome to episode 262 of Drink the Movies. I'm Brian here, as always, with Michaela. And Michaela, sometimes you just have to go out on a limb. You have to put out a risk. You have to make a big play, and you have to throw a Hail Mary. This week, we're talking about Project Hail Mary.
We sure are. Yeah, sometimes you need to take a risk. Sometimes you're gonna run in to a burning building, as it were, right? You're gonna give it all. Sometimes you're not gonna give it all, and you're gonna get like drawn and you're gonna you're gonna get like what's it called? What's it? Hogtied and like thrown
Yeah.
into something where your death is assured, almost certainly, and yet. You're gonna rise to the occasion because other people have more faith in you than you do. Yes, Hail Mary, Brian. This film is what was lauded to be an amazing feat of like storytelling as well as um, cinematography and like special effects. Andy
Mm,
Weir
mm-hmm.
from The Martian, which was up for Best Picture a couple of years ago, right? He wrote another story, and we're making another movie about another space story. But it's not just any space story. This one has Ryan Gosling in it. It's going to be epic, right?
Uh, Has Ryan Gosling in it, and a little appearance from an alien that we'll talk about here in a little bit. So let's do this. Before we get into the movie, we're going to need a cocktail because sometimes you wake up on a spaceship by yourself, you don't know what's going on, you got to figure it out, and maybe this cocktail is going to get you straight. So let's do this. Let's grab some vodka, let's grab some blue curacao, and we'll be right back to mix up this week's drink.
So, Brian, I'm actually really excited to share this cocktail with you. I made a bunch of versions of this in my head, and I wrote a bunch of it down.
Okay.
And so I settled on version two because what I wanted to do was create a cocktail that was spacey, that had like some intergalacticness to it, that looked a little bit like some of the substances that we deal with in the movie, one of which is called Astrophage. But also just didn't taste terrible. And I found one that I think you'll like. I think you're gonna like it, and I'm
Okay.
calling it the Astrophase version 2. It is best presented in one of those IV bags that you can stick a straw in. And
Mm, hmm
so
hmm
the content's going to look great. If you've not seen it, I'm super proud of it because it looks real cool. And if you haven't seen the film, then you're missing half the joke there. But if I were pretty sure I was going to die on a ship by myself in a space, uh, I don't know, spaceship that was hurling itself towards like the only sun that wasn't dying in our solar system or our galaxy or the entire universe, I would probably want some vodka. So it's a good thing that our Ryan Gosling character was able to find a couple boxes or bags of this,
Yeah.
which is cool. But that's what you're going to start with. Now, you can use any vodka you want. I would recommend if you have it, you can use a black vodka. If you don't have it, please don't worry about it. It's still going to look really cool. It's going to taste fine. If you
Yeah.
have some black vodka, that is going to look very dark and cool, and that's really neat. But you don't need it.
You could probably, if you had some black coloring agent, food coloring, something like that, you could probably toss a drop in there. It's color treated as well, or obviously you could buy black vodka, but yeah, definitely not required here for this one.
For sure. So you're going to take 2 ounces of that. You're going to add an ounce of blue curacao. Now, all beer blue curaçaos are not created equal. I like Giffords because it's not as syrupy sweet, and it's still a really beautiful blue. But
Hmm
you can do anything you want if you want to. You're going to add 3/4 of an ounce of white grape juice. It's better if it's white. Again, we're spitballing here. If you got regular grape juice, use that too. It's going to be fine. Half an ounce of lime juice and a quarter ounce of simple syrup. And what you're going to do is I put this in a shaker and I shook it up real nice. And then what you do is add maybe like a half an ounce of tonic water. You don't actually need that much, but you want to shake that up real good. It's going to get really fizzy, and that's okay. You're going to want to shake it. Just be really careful when you do because you'll make a giant mess. But the key is to really incorporate the tonic water in there because it's going to glow a little bit under a black light if you have one. If you don't worry about it. No big deal. And then again, these are all things if you want to do. I don't know. Add a little bit of shimmer. I had some silver shimmer that I put in there. It makes it look very spacey and really cool. And then when you're done, shaking it all up. You're going to be very careful and you're going to put it into a space bag that you're then going to seal and send
Yeah.
up on your spaceship. You're going to label it vodka or Astrophage version 2, whatever you want to label it with. You're going to put, bags of these in your care bag as you go up to space to assuredly die, which is unfortunately what happens to like the entire crew uh,
That's true.
in
That's true.
this, except for Ryan Gosling character in Project Hail Mary.
Wow, spoiler warning for Project Hail Mary right there. Yeah, absolutely. Put this into a space bag. That is actually required. Not really. If I was making this just as is, I'd probably put it into like a coupe glass or some sort of like tulip glass. That would be good. And yeah, sip and enjoy. I really like the flavor combinations here. I like the vodka, nice and clean, obviously. Blue curacao, a little bit of orange in there. Gifford's, I think, is the right one to go with here. If you have uh blue curacao that is on the sweeter end, right? Like a less expensive one. That's fine, but you're probably going to want to dial down your simple syrup a little bit because that's going to be a little bit sweeter. So you might have to play around with that depending on what blue curacao you're using. I like the white grape juice here. That's a nice flavor, especially when paired with a tonic. And actually, I think this would make a really nice long drink if you added some more tonic to this and just made it like a flavored vodka tonic. Because one of my favorite flavor combinations, springtime, summertime cocktails is like a white port and tonic. White port, white grape juice. White grape juice and tonic sounds like maybe like the best two ingredient mocktail that could be going around. So I might have to just try that, just like straight up sitting by the pool someday. But yeah, this is really nice. It looks amazing. It's really fun. It kind of tastes like any sort of like kitschy kind of like themed cocktail. So it's not like crazy ingredients or anything like that that are gonna really set you straight. But just nice little kind of fruit for a little drink to set you on your way as you go to space.
Yeah, which is what you need. Because you feel so bad. And I feel like, yeah, maybe I spoiled it a little bit. I'm not telling you anything you don't know in the first 10 minutes, okay? But like, if I were Ryan Gosling's character, I would be searching for all of the alcohol possible in this because the poor guy, he's wakes up, he doesn't know where he is. He doesn't know how long he's been on a ship. He doesn't know what has happened. His short-term memory is completely kaput, and so he's trying to like piece together his past while trying to figure out what to do to save the future of the entire Earth. And so yeah, but I'm not saying drinking's the answer to problems, but it definitely would help take the edge off. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. That's true. Michaela, if you're packing for space and you can take one bag of booze with you, what's it going to be?
I think it's gonna be one bag of booze, only one. Brockman's uh, red orange gin or blood
Oh,
orange gin.
okay. Blood
Yeah.
orange gin.
I just discovered this like a week ago. We talked about it in the lobby bar last week. Everybody needs to go find this and buy it. It's so good. Yeah, as long as I could have lots of that, because I think that has enough in it where you don't need to add things to it. And you said
Hmm.
one.
Yeah, just one. Yeah, that's what it has to be. You have to be able to drink it straight. 'Cause you're probably not going to have a lot of mixers there on board your spacecraft. Let us know down in the comments what you would take to space with you. But for now, what we need to do is we need to strap in to go to space because we're going to be talking about this week's film, Project Hail Mary. We'll be right back.
I'm Grace. I'm gonna call you Rocky. Thumbs up. No, that's thumbs down. You would do the thumbs up. It's close enough.
Spoiler warning for Project Hail Mary. If you've not seen yet this film, you should press pause because we're going to talk about all the things. Um, yeah, and there's a lot. There's a lot of spoilers. So do yourself a favor and go watch it. Press pause on this. Go watch it. Go make yourself up an Astrophage version 2 cocktail, either in a bag or in a coupe glass, and then come back and chat about it because we're going to spoil everything. And you don't want us to be the ones that spoil it for you. You want to experience it yourself, guaranteed.
Yeah, you wanna experience it for yourself. Read the book first, maybe. I don't know for sure, but this just came out, so if you've not seen it, you have excuse, right? Because it just came out a couple weeks ago. It was released in 2026 here. It stars Ryan Gosling as Ryland Grace, is the molecular biologist turned teacher turned savior of the universe, in the absolutely incredible Sandra Hüller, who was in one of the greatest films of the last 100 years, Anatomy of a Fall. She's in this playing Eva Stratt, I believe is her name. She is the head of Project Hail Mary. There's also an alien we're going to be talking about as well, which is pretty cool. This was based on the book by Andy Weir, which you mentioned, who also wrote the book The Martian. Was nominated, I think it was nominated for 10 Academy Awards. Did pretty well that you're nominated for Best Picture there, which is a film that we've covered here on the podcast. You can go back and listen to that if you want to get some more Andy Weir stories in your life. But interesting fact here, Drew Goddard did the adapted screenplay for The Martian and also adapts the screenplay here for Project Hail Mary. So good job there. I haven't read either of these books, but I'm assuming that they're both pretty good adaptations. I'm pretty sure that The Martian was at least nominated for adapted screenplay. I can't remember what it did Oscar night. But I would be surprised to think if this doesn't, and we're going to talk a little bit more about some Oscar stuff later. So let's just talk about the movie a little bit here, Michaela. There is a lot of stuff that happens because we're going to space to quite literally save the galaxy. So you already kind of mentioned it. You tip the hat a little bit. We wake up on board the spaceship here. Hail Mary. I don't remember if that was the name of the ship specifically. I don't remember. But Ryan Gosling wakes up. He's looking a mess. He's got long, shaggy hair. He's trying to figure out what the heck is going on. He figures out he's been on this ship for like, I don't know, like 13 years or some crazy kind of thing like that. And my favorite part, because Ryan Gosling is super funny, is he's just like looking all that stuff, and he just like screams out into the void. He's like, "Am I smart? Like, why am I here? What's happening?" And we're gonna kind of go back and forth to bring us up to speed, kind of in like a slow drip kind of thing, like you get like in your vodka IV bag drink that you're having.
Right. Well, I mean, to be fair, it doesn't show, but you think it takes him a real long time to answer the simplest of questions, like what is 2 + 2, right? Like he's waking up in this spaceship and this AI component of the spaceship doesn't want to kill him. So that's kind of a nice new,
That's good.
that's new. That's kind of a fun, different difference of all the space movies ever.
That's better than Mother from Alien, I guess. So.
Yeah, it certainly is. But he's like, "Am I smart? Who am I? Who are all these people?" And apparently, there were only three people that were going on this Hail Mary suicide mission,
Yeah.
and both of them have unfortunately passed. And then we start kind of seeing these flashbacks of his memory and what he does remember. And apparently, Rylan had been a pretty amazing science guy back on Earth, but he had some really strange ideas of what about energy and the molecular formation of water. And do you need water to survive? Everybody says that, but do you really need it? And it turns out you actually really do, apparently. And so he was kind of laughed out of the scientific community, and he ends up being like a science teacher for a middle school, which is super cool. But then that amazing character, Dr. Strat, I think she's a doctor. I don't know. She looks real smart and brilliant. She stops him, and she like right outside the school and is like, "Hey, I think we're going to need your help to save the planet, because the planet is slowly dying. The sun is shutting down. We don't know why. There's this weird wormhole of things that are happening. They call them the dots. They found these infrared dots that are between Venus and the sun, and they don't know why that's happening, but they think that has something to do with why the sun is shutting down. And if the sun shuts down, people, we're in trouble." I mean, this seems really common, but I love how they kind of walk us through that for the people who maybe didn't study in science and don't know that this could be really catastrophic. Within like 30 years, we're not going to have enough food. A bunch of people are going to literally starve to death. And so they're putting together this project, Hail Mary, to go and try and figure out what the dots are. I mean, that's it. They're just like, well, we don't know what these things are, and we need to figure that out. And apparently, they've done some research. I don't know how they did this, but every other sun is also having this problem, and we don't know why, except this one. And so we're just gonna send a probe out with people in it, see if we see what we can figure out. It sounds really epic and adventurous, except it's in space, and we're all going to die.
Yeah, I mean, you got to do what you got to do here in this instance. I really love kind of the fact that he is a middle school teacher, because then he's able to kind of communicate with the kids at the beginning, which kind of tells us as the audience like what's going on, like explain it to me like I'm a middle schooler, because I'm an idiot and I don't know anything about space and all that stuff. So that makes sense. I like that a lot. But yeah, he's going to get kind of brought into this project here as you kind of this I don't know, like brash microbiology student who seems like burn a lot of bridges, but maybe was a super like brilliant kind of a guy. And that's the kind of guy that you need when, the world is at its end, I guess. So Sandra Huller brings him onto this. And I really liked the kind of the structure of the film because we're, kind of playing catch up with um
With Ryland.
with Ryland Grace, kind of throughout the film, basically. And as we're playing catch up with him, we're kind of seeing these flashbacks back to on Earth before Project Hail Mary takes off. But yeah, there were only three people on this ship, right? So you had like the commander, you had an engineer, and then you had the scientist, which is what Ryland Grace is on board for. So as he's kind of putting the pieces together and figuring it out, and he's realizing that he's here to see the sun that is not dying yet, and trying to figure out why that is. Lo and behold, the most giant thing that's ever been on a movie screen shows up. This huge spaceship comes, and I really love this because Andy Weir. It seems like I've not read either of the books, but kind of taking the tone of The Martian, and obviously taking the tone of this. It has enough like humor to it. Ryan Gosling is a funny guy. He can play like these humorous kinds of things like that. He's like Ken in space, and he's there like trying to figure it out, and they're like literally like throwing this little canister back and forth like between these two spaceships, and eventually Ryland Grace comes to terms with the fact that whoever is in charge of this other spaceship thinks that he is probably an idiot, which is probably true compared to
Comparatively.
other forms of life, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think one of the things that I loved so much about this is the focus on science, right? And I've read The Martian. My kid goes to sleep listening to The Martian, which I think is weird and beautiful at the same time. But there's tons of science that is like backing this.
Mhm.
And a big piece of this is establishing communications in a way that doesn't blow anybody up. We immediately don't assume that they're coming to like eat our brains, and they don't want our brains because we are not real smart. Turns out. So, but this canister thing is amazing. Where first, this alien spaceships throws this canister, it misses them completely, and then they throw it slower. And they give Ryan Gosling's character enough time to like get it and like get back into the ship without dying. All of which is really beautifully done. The shots are amazing. I don't know how they did this. I think every space movie just seems to get better and better at showing how dangerous it is in space,
Mhm.
but also how beautiful some of these shots are, where you got like this the ribbon that's holding the Ryan Gosling's character onto the ship because he's like a carabiner is like holding him onto the ship, and anything could happen as he's like going out in space and trying to grab it. But the communication piece I think is really key here because the ship ends up sending out this like giant black hole thing. It's like a spire that Ryan Gosling
It's like the
character
tube
Ryland
from
can.
E.T.
Yeah, basically. And you can walk through it, but you don't know if you're walking to your death. And these two entities, they cannot breathe the same air. They can't live in the same atmosphere at all. And so trying to figure out how they manage to speak to each other. And I will say the book is a lot more detailed in this, but I thought that the movie did a really great job of explaining how the communication starts to happen between the two of these entities because, it can't have. It would have been a 4-hour movie if they had done all the things that they do to establish that. But I do love that they show a little bit of that because they're both like, "Hey, are you alone? I'm alone. Uh, you want to save the world together or
Yeah.
save your world together? Is your world dying too? What gives, man?
Yeah.
What's cracking?"
And apparently, yeah, I mean, they had to streamline some of that stuff, obviously, because the film's already 2.5 hours, over 2.5 hours long. And apparently, the first cut that Phil Lord and um, Christopher Miller put out was like over 4 hours long, and people are like, "Are you nuts? What are you doing with that? You gotta trim this down a little bit." So yeah, I mean, you have to make some concessions there in terms of the story. Now, in terms of the way that this looks, it's absolutely spectacular. Lord and Miller have been on the record to say that there was no like green screen used in any of like the interior stuff, which is pretty amazing. Obviously, the stuff on the exterior of the spaceship obviously is being done digitally there, but all that stuff is amazing and really kind of creates this like lived in thing that Ryland Grace is finding himself as a part of. But yeah, eventually kind of walks across this thing and we're introduced to the best character of them all, of course. That is Rocky, Rocky the alien, who is actually a puppet, which is pretty cool. It's controlled by 5 puppeteers, which is neat. And James Ortiz is the main puppeteer here who also does the voice. And kind of similar, and a lot of characters whose voices come to life was doing like the on-set voice, right, as he's puppeteering the thing, and then was meant to be dubbed over, right, but does such a good job, and then you can't like hear this character without it being in James Ortiz's voice. So it goes on to voice Rocky there as well, which is amazing because he looks like a rock. So obviously calls him Rocky. Ends up getting to watch the film. Rocky with Ryland Grace there on the spaceship, which is pretty cool. Let's talk about like the technology piece of it here a little bit, Michaela, because there's a lot of cool stuff, right? You mentioned the tunnel that comes out. That's pretty cool. Rocky's like, take your helmet off, bro. Like I already figured out that you need oxygen, so I took care of that for you, by the way. Of course, I mean, in fairness, if I was Ryland Grace, I would also be skeptical of this rock thing. I would assume that is trying to end me, whatever, right? Like, I'm not going to, but eventually comes to terms that they're there to kind of help each other out. And we learn that Rocky was on this big giant spaceship that they can just kind of like create. They're almost like these little like spidery things that can basically like create this mineral to basically craft whatever they want to, which is really cool. But can do that. Had built the spaceship, but lost everyone on board theirs. He's also going to the same star, right? They're trying to find the solution to the same problem, right? Not only our star, every star in the solar system is dying. So kind of these two creatures meet there. But I love that. I love they end up using like the talk to text thing to kind of translate what Rocky's saying,
Hmm.
which gives him a voice in the film, which is pretty cool. You have like the Earth like atmosphere projector thing, which is great if you're going to be on a spaceship for like a decade to like go back and feel like you're on the planet kind of on some level to help with that, which is pretty cool because then Rocky's getting some sort of idea of what life on Earth is like.
Yeah, this it's so neat. This like forage, um, this forge of two beings, right? You really quickly, they can communicate together. They're seeing films together. There's this really cute scene where Ryland does the thumbs up, and Rocky is not able to turn his thumb like appendage up, so it's just thumbs down. So they both just kind of agree to disagree there. One thing that I really love is that they both seem kind of surprised by each other. The set direction here is insane. As you said, there's no green screen, so like the way that they create like I don't know this clear kind of hologram box that goes around Rocky, so he can like be part of Ryland's world and vice versa. Like that is
Yeah,
super cool.
it's like a big hamster ball for rock
Yeah, yeah.
aliens.
Yeah, for rock aliens. That's right. And I don't know. I just really like it. They talk a lot about the science behind things. They're like trying to figure things out, and it's interesting because Rocky apparently comes from this planet they've named Arid, but they don't understand how the theory of relativity works. So they have like a ton of fuel, like so much fuel, and it makes you wonder why their ship was so big, but probably like 90% of it is to house all the fuel that they need. So they have tons of fuel that they can then use to get home. And so like one of the sweetest moments is Rocky basically communicates with Ryland and says, hey, I'm willing to give up some of my fuel to give to you, and that way we can both go home, because it was Rocky always thought he was they you know he the they were going to get home, and Ryland was not. And so it's
Yeah.
like this really sweet story because Ryland won't talk about it. He doesn't want to think about it. He doesn't want to bring down, he doesn't want to be the wet blanket amongst the two of them. That's like, yeah, this is a one-way mission for me, until, he's kind of pressed to do so. And I really loved this because aliens can be empathetic too, Brian. It's so
Yeah.
great. And of course, he's like, yeah, I'll get home like 4 years later, but that's all right. Like, at least then we both get to go home. It's so awesome and it's so sweet. And I've never loved an alien. Oh, well, maybe E.T. I love this alien a lot. We really love this alien because he's so sweet, and they just form this really amazing bond that transcends the biology of what they are, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's really amazing, and it's like this beautiful kind of friendship relationship that they have there. Is they're like bickering, kind of roommates here on this ship as they're trying to figure out how to solve this problem, right? And they end up finding this planet that is able to kind of disrupt whatever what is it? It's like what was that line called? I don't even remember the Petrova line that can kind of
Mm.
interfere with that. And they find this planet that's producing this stuff, which Rocky gets to name. So he names it after his I don't know spouse. Or whatever I keep calling Rocky a his. Rocky is just a being. We don't really know what Rocky is. But Rocky's significant other tries to name it that, and they need to come up with like an English term for that because obviously uh, Ryland Grace can't pronounce that, so they settle on Adrian, which is of course Rocky Balboa's true love there from one of the great films of them all, Rocky, which is pretty cool. So they end up figuring that out. They get the stuff. You get like the most incredible like cinematic like widescreen IMAX shot of all time, where Ryland Grace is like floating outside of the spaceship, and he flips it on to turn on the infrared. So like immediately everything goes to like this infrared, which is absolutely insane, and they're trying to drag out this stuff so they can figure out how to reproduce it and basically just toss it into the sun and hope for the best or around the entire galaxy to save themselves, which is really pretty cool. But the ship it gets battered. That's not great. Rocky's going to have to try to save Ryland Grace here through this, which is probably the most like heartbreaking bit of that because you're not sure if Rocky's going to come out of this on the other side okay because they can't be in the same environment, which is pretty epic and amazing. And then you don't know what's going to happen, right? Ryland is basically given a death sentence here from the beginning of the film, which we find out getting tossed on this spaceship, and it turns out yeah he's not going to be able to make it back. He doesn't have enough fuel to get back, so sends Rocky on his way as he's taking his stuff back to Earth. But then we get a little bit of a twist. I don't know how much of the twist, like kind of end to this we want to get to. It might be best to kind of leave that alone for a little bit and just kind of leave the story there, right? They come together, they figure out this problem, they math it, as Matt Damon tells us in The Martian, and they figure out how to do it and build this tremendous relationship along the way. I wanted to make mention of another relationship here, and then I'll throw it back over to you, Michaela. We've got Lionel Boyce in here, who pretty much everyone probably knows from The Bear, right? He's the dessert chef, the pastry chef on the Bear. He's amazing. He's amazing, and he's like the head of like security, who's basically in charge of making sure Ryland Grace doesn't run away from this project, basically. But they also have kind of this fast friendship there. Maybe my favorite scene in the whole movie is when they go to like Home Depot and they just buy like 1,000 sheets of plywood to like build this box, and then Ryland Grace kind of looks at him and they just decide to buy all the candy in the line too because don't worry about it, we're from the government.
They've got plenty of money. They'll just raise taxes, no problem. Yeah, I mean the relationships with the few Earthlings that we see, I think is pretty cool. I mean, Eva Stratt and Ryland have this interesting friendship because Ryland is the science. He wasn't even supposed to go. All right, he's the science guy. He was the one who helped with the theory, and they had science officers that were supposed to go. And there was a catastrophe of the astrophage. They didn't do something. They missed the math, and something happened. And so they don't have anybody else to ask other than Ryland Grace. And Eva Stratt does not care about. I mean, I love her character so much because she cares so much about people. She is so caring of them that she is willing to absolutely send one of her favorite people to go die. That she's like, I will never see you again. But it is absolutely the right thing to do, and you're going to do it, and I'm not going to shed a tear. I think she is just a triumph in this, and I love that at the end, at this point when Ryland Grace is basically hogtied and he's tased and he's like, please don't do this to me. And you're right. Lionel Boyce is like, you're going to do great. It's going to be fine.
Yeah,
And now we'll put a bag over your head, sedate
yeah.
you, throw you on a
He's
ship.
he's so quiet and supportive and humble, like in this role, Lionel Boyce. And I don't know if that's his real actual personality because that's exactly how he comes across in The Bear as well. But yeah,
Mm, mm,
I love kind of his quiet like persona, like playing off of Ryan Gosling, but they both have kind of the same sense of humor, right?
mhm,
They're just very
mhm.
like different in the delivery of it, which is pretty cool. And yeah, Sandra Huller, Eva Stratt, she's incredible. I love her so much. The scene you'll see it in the trailer where she's singing the karaoke is very impactful because she is like very much this stoic, like hardened. I don't know if she's a scientist. I don't know if she's like a military person. I don't know exactly what she is, but she's in charge of this program to save the universe for the entire world. So she's a badass, whatever she is. And she's there, and like that's like the only like moment like of vulnerability that she'll allow herself like in the film is she's trying to keep like all of these world leaders and scientists like together to try to figure this out. And basically, yeah, puts Ryland Grace like literally prisoned on this ship to his death because saving the entire galaxy is more important than what Ryland Grace wants to do. And I love that because you get that as the counterpoint to Ryland and Rocky's relationship, where Rocky is, telling Ryland like how brave he is and how brave he was for leaving Earth, and to come here and do this on your own or even with three people. Is all of that, and Ryland has to deal with kind of those mixed feelings about that he tried every like avenue of not being brave in this instance, and has basically been drug into it. So it's really beautiful, I think, from that standpoint as well. And I mean, yeah, I mean, it just looks great. The story is compelling and beautiful and happy and sad all at the same time. But at the end, right, we're left with some hope. Maybe the world is saved, and maybe even Ryland Grace gets saved there at the end. Like I said, I don't really want to get into the spoiler
Yeah.
of all of that stuff. So that's it. Were there any other like aspects of the movie that you wanted to bring up or talk about? We haven't really talked about this too much since we saw it like 2 weeks ago, I guess, is when we saw it, kind of on opening day, which is pretty cool to go see. We saw big crowd there. We got to see it in IMAX, which was amazing. They apparently filmed it on these crazy special IMAX cameras, which is pretty monumental and stuff, which is part of the reason why it looks so great, especially on that screen. But was there any other like aspect of the film or parts of the plot or just anything else you wanted to bring up, Michaela?
So one of the things that I really loved about this, as well as The Martian, and we don't want to compare the two because they are very different stories, too much. We don't
Yeah.
want to compare them
Mhm.
too much, but I really love that this was great for young adults. It's
Mhm.
my kiddo just turned 11, and this might have been the first movie he like super cried at, both really in a good way and in a sad way, right?
Mhm.
It's a really wonderful story that's not an animated film. It's not for kids, but that I think would be great for young adults to see. There's a lot of beautiful themes, and it really talks about like the science of it all. And I don't know if when you look now at like the kids today, right? It's like science is kind of it's almost a gimmicky thing rather than like really doing the hard work of learning the really hard stuff.
Mhm.
And everybody's kind of looking for the easy way out. Let's ask Chat GPT about biology instead of actually learning it ourselves, stuff like that. And so I
Right.
thought that this was so cool because at the heart of it, Ryan Gosling's character, he loves science, but he also really loves teaching youth. And this story is real complicated. The book is probably really complicated, but it's still something that even a child can understand. And I thought that
Mhm.
was super cool. I think this is going to be one of the top 10 films of the year being 2026. It would not surprise me at all if this is up for best set design, probably best adapted screenplay, maybe special effects, because of the puppeteer work with Rocky itself.
Mhm.
I mean, it's interesting because we just finished Oscar season, and this came out with a bang, right? And I will be very surprised if it doesn't get a lot of critical acclaim because it's pretty great, and it's
Yeah. The
fun. Like it's a
yeah.
good, it's a beautiful film, but it's a good movie too, and I think that
Mhm.
that's cool.
Yeah, and it didn't feel overly long. Like I said, it does tick in just a little over 2.5 hours. But yeah, I mean, it felt very well paced. You're always kind of interested in figuring out what's happening in the story. So as it keeps going, it doesn't really ever slow down. There's always like enough stress level and enough humor and enough like story and emotion coming out like through the whole thing,
Mhm.
which is really cool. Yeah, the only thing it has going for it in terms of like Oscar stuff. It's let's speculate for the next Oscars, which are in 51 weeks. Uh, the only thing it has going for it is that it came out like literally the week that the Oscars were. So I mean, it's going to be a long time. But I mean, yeah, for sure, like the visual stuff is absolutely stunning and incredible. All that stuff. The puppet, the Rocky puppet, I think was done in like Neil Scanlon's shop, who did all of the Star Wars like sequel like puppets and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Quite the feather in the cap there for Rocky, and that it exists and that it moved around in that ball like is pretty amazing, and all that stuff on the ship, which is really cool. Yeah, adapted screenplay, best picture. F1 got nominated for best picture, so come on, come on. Let's not get carried away here with saying that this couldn't be best picture, because absolutely, yeah, and it's definitely worth your time. It's going to be interesting. Project Hail Mary's already made like $300 million, which is great. It's going to carry on making money. We've got Mario coming out this week, so obviously it's going to be knocked way down a peg or two in terms of that. But I mean, it seems like it's doing gangbusters. People are really high on it, and it's a really great story. It's really compelling on a lot of levels, even more so than The Martian. I think, which was, basically it was, Castaway in space, right? It was a one-man show. Matt Damon, there who had the gravitas to do it and had the humor and a little bit more sciencey. I think that one was probably a little bit more like hard science versus this,
Mhm.
which is a little bit more, hypothetical
Right.
science based,
Yeah.
right? So a little different kind of on that end. As you mentioned, they're very different stories and very different ways of telling it. And I think it would be interesting, like thought experiment, if you think about Matt Damon playing the role here of Ryan Gosling or Ryan Gosling playing the role of Matt Damon, like if they just did like a little swap for the movie, like how different like tone they would be
Mhm.
in terms
For
of that.
sure.
So if you want to think about it that way, I did want to tell Michaela, you, because you're a Lego fan, same as me, but all of the fans out there, there is a Lego set, the Project Hail Mary Lego set, and it comes with a minifig of Rocky, which is incredible. It's currently on back order as of this recording, so you have to get on. I don't know if there's a wait list for it or what, but that looks pretty cool, doesn't it?
Yeah, that looks amazing, and I'm going to buy it. I'm going to get on some sort of wait list. I don't know. Maybe like eBay's got it on the black market. I have no idea, but I'm going to buy it because I want a little baby minifig of Rocky. That's what I want. That's really cool. Which is neat. I love when Lego like picks like not when they do like a thousand different versions. Like I'm looking at you, Harry Potter. My gosh, how many Hogwarts castles do we need? But I do love it when they pick like one thing from a movie, and so you
Mhm.
don't, you don't feel that bad about cashing out for it because it's just the one thing. It's really cool. Yeah, go see this. It's worth your time. And it's a good reminder of what friendship is and what it's not, right? Like, you don't necessarily have to be similar at all. You can be literally from the opposite sides of the galaxy and still really care and love other people. And I think that's probably the best lesson of all.
That's right, absolutely. So that is Project Hail Mary. So let us know if you've made it out to see it. Let us know what you thought about Rocky, the best character of all time, and let us know if you made yourself an Astrophage version 2. Or let us know, like I said, what you would take to space with you in terms of cocktails or liquors or whatever. What album would you take to space? I don't know. Let us know all that stuff. You can do any of that stuff on our social medias. It's at Drink the Movies on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and Facebook.com/Drink the Movies. If you want to see pictures of the cocktails that we make here, written recipes, episode recaps, all the links to all of our things that can be found on our website, which is www.drinkthemovies.com. You can go there. As I mentioned, there's links to everything, including our Patreon. Our Patreon members are the Bee's Knees, which is the cocktail we covered in the lobby bar earlier this week, and we couldn't do Drink the Movies without them. So if you want to go over there, support the podcast, you get bonus episodes, bonus content, hangouts, chats, behind the scenes stuff, early releases, all that stuff can be found on Patreon. It's patreon.com/drink the movies. Michaela, next week we're going to be getting into A Blast from the Past. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: Secret of the Ooze, I think, is
Woohoo.
is the plan to talk about here. A movie we got to see re-released back in theaters last week. We're doing that, and then we're going to be doing our live episode covering the Super Mario Galaxy film. So talking a lot about Mario, video games, all that stuff. We're going to be doing that. So people are going to want to make sure that they are subscribed to the podcast and follow along with all the fun movie stuff we have going on this year because there's a lot of new stuff. We're going to be running ourselves ragged getting to the movie theater, but for science, we can do it.
We can do it. We can do it. And if you want to do it with us, you can find us on Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Good Pods, anywhere where Spotify podcasts are supported and distributed. I guarantee if you're listening to us right now, we're on YouTube. We have some live episodes that are really cool. Brian does a lot of amazing work to make that happen. But anywhere on your little rectangle, there is a subscribe button. We do 2 drops a week here at Drink the Movies. We do our lobby bars where we talk about everything box office and then our deep dives like the one you just heard. If you're into video games at all, even if you just like cocktails about video games, you should go check out Drink the Video Games. It's amazing. Brian does an amazing job. I come in with a cocktail as well, so you get 30 seconds of me. If that's your thing. But really, it's so cool. It's such a fun podcast to learn all about the history behind video game making, which is really cool. And sometimes there are crossovers, like one of the last ones you did, right, Brian? So
Mhm.
that's really cool too. Check that out. Drink the Video Games.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that plug. I appreciate that. And thank you so much for all of you for listening here as we got into this Ryan Gosling. I don't know. Craziness that happened was amazing. So go check it out. And thank you so much for tuning in. Episode 262, Project Hail Mary. Yeah, we'll be back next week and we'll talk to you all then on
Drink.
Drink The
The movies.
movies. Thumbs up.
Thumbs up, thumbs down, up, down. You know, Meryl Streep was also the voice. It was a
Oh,
mix.
oh, okay.
She's
Well,
gonna
there you
get
go.
up. She's gonna get nominated for an Oscar. I bet this with this. I guarantee it.
There is nothing she can't do, I think Ryland Grace says in the film.